There's a lot of news in the world today.
News that might surprise you, startle you, upset, or maybe impress.
News that's not always for the faint of heart.
That's why the man who failed his way to success, Heath Oakes, is stepping up.
Tackling today's headlines with ignorance on fire in a way only a millennial mogul can.
Take off your sport coat, grab a beer, and enjoy the conversation.
This is Second Shot with your host, Heath Oakes.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer
Had a very shiny nose.
Man, that was bingo. We didn't even
Very
plan that.
musical
That
opening,
was
yeah.
Pound it, man.
It's true. There was no conversation of that preceding this episode.
There was no conversation,
You
but
just
we
went
just
for it.
did that. Like we
Nice
just
moves.
made that happen.
Good melody. Yeah, I appreciate it.
yeah. You know, because Christmas coming up. You know, you
Tis
gotta
the
be
season.
You
Yeah.
have to be jolly. We got Marisol here again. What's up, Marisol?
What's up? Thanks for having me again.
And then Zach and Matt always.
Heath, how's it going? How's your Christmas spirit?
It's great. I'll be in Idaho when this is released, and hopefully be doing some snowboarding and everything, which is great. We get to go to my wife's in Idaho, and like her family's great, and you know gets to actually be around mountains with snow. Probably a snow Christmas day.
We don't get a lot of those down here, do we?
No.
Yeah,
Get
what's the weather
ice.
like in Idaho this time of year? Is it pretty
Cold
miserable?
and miserable.
Yeah.
But you know it's great because I don't get a lot of that, right?
Right.
So get to go enjoy it, snowboard in the mountains, do stuff like that. My wife is like, she was like a snowboard instructor, so she's like phenomenal. She makes
Really?
me look really stupid.
Oh, wow.
But she taught me, you know, on our honeymoon, you know, kind of how to do it. I mean, she obviously grew up around snow and all that. I obviously did not get to grow up around snow.
Right.
We
So-
get snow like every 3 years.
Yeah, like when we were on our honeymoon, and I was sitting there literally tumbling down the mountain, and she comes by just doing the little, you know, the real, like, and going backwards, like, hey, hon, come on. And I'm up going just tumbling down, cussing,
I wish
screaming,
I could've seen that.
Yeah.
like,
Happy honeymoon.
just pissed off at everybody.
That's right.
You know?
You're probably one of those, like me, you're probably one of those grass is greener kind of Texans. Like, we love snow.
Yes.
Snow's great because we never had to really live in it a whole lot.
Yeah,
like, I know
yeah.
people up north, they hate it. It's
Yeah.
the worst, but I dig it. Marisol, where are you going to be when this is out?
I'll be at home with my family,
All right.
hanging out, hosting.
Yeah.
Hostess with the mostest.
I will be with either one of either my family or my significant other family. I'm still in that weird phase in my relationship because we're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. Where I don't know
If
we
y'all
haven't
do
worked out
the-
the holidays. Which house do you go to? How do you
Or do
work
you?
that out?
Because are you're not like engaged or anything like that? So it's kind
Yeah.
of like, yeah,
So
I know.
it's
I
not
remember
officially
that.
an obligation yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it is though. But I mean,
How long y'all been
yeah,
together?
A long time. I got to start making some moves here. I got to start making some
okay.
things happen.
So you've been, so you've
I've
been.
been
how long?
slacking.
How long?
Oh, I'm almost ashamed to
You don't
say.
even
What?
want to say.
Tell me.
7 years.
Oh my!
Whoa.
High school sweethearts.
Oh,
I know I'm nuts about this girl.
that's Zach.
I got to do something about this. I know. It's
Yeah,
time. I think I
yeah.
got to. 'Tis the season. I'm feeling jolly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You get cozy with the ones you love.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, enough about
Okay,
me.
so no, y'all are not in that weird spot in your relationship, by
No.
the way, when you've been 7 years. So
No,
get that out of your
that's
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are obligations by this point.
All right. All right. Well,
There's no weird spots. It
I
is
don't need. I
full-blown
don't need. I
obligation.
don't need the whole studio to tell me I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah. Well, you just did.
The
That
point.
just
The point
happened.
is, I will either be in Houston or Fort Worth on the day,
Yeah.
one or the other. But yeah, I'll be somewhere.
So, you know, we just thought this next headline was such a Christmas story.
Because everybody gets really jolly during
It's
the
true.
holidays.
Gives you a warm
Yes.
fuzzy feeling.
Yeah, so this is, I just saw this and about died laughing. I mean, I thought it'd be perfect. So read us this headline, Zach.
Florida opossum found drunk after liquor store break-in.
And there's literally a picture of a possum with a bottle of liquor.
Little bottle of Absolute or
And this is
something
legit.
there.
This is not us lying. This is a real story.
No, from Walton Beach, Florida. An opossum that apparently drank bourbon after breaking into a Florida liquor store sobered up at a wildlife rescue center and was released unharmed. On November 24th, the liquor store employee found the animal next to a broken empty bottle of bourbon when they showed up in the morning. Apparently, over the evening, the opossum had slipped in through a hole in the roof, got through the rafters, tipped a bottle of liquor onto the ground, fell down next to it, and drank the whole freaking thing. And a Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year.
You think he's dreading the holidays?
Oh, man.
I mean, did his wife just leave him? What happened to him?
And this is such a Florida. I lived in Florida and I loved Florida, but this is such a Florida story.
Oh,
like,
it's true.
like, do the craziest things not come out of Florida? Like, if you hear the most random, weirdest stuff, it's like Florida crazy is like that's what happens. Something. It's always crazy in Florida, but like this dude, like this possum had it rough to break in and just lay there and chug the bourbon all night.
That's what I
man.
said. Did his wife leave him? What happened?
To wrap the story really quick before we get into it, the possum's okay. After apparently 2 days of flushing him with fluids and IVs and who knows
That
what.
is great.
He didn't have a hangover. He's all right. The possum made it. No animals were harmed in the making of this episode.
That is absolutely hilarious.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Wouldn't you love to see a video of
that
the
actually
in-store
happening.
camera of
There's
him
got to
like
be a security
tipping it
camera
over, laying there?
of that possum just drinking it and then just falling over.
Yeah.
And just lays there the rest of the night.
And then it's like when he came to, he's still just laying in the bourbon, so he just keeps drinking it. He went straight for the hard stuff. No, like
came to in
beer,
the-
nothing.
yeah.
Straight liquor bourbon.
Oh, that's the way to go. He had knocked down the whole bottle and came to in the drunk tank, right? Like
Yes.
that's the tale as old as the time. Like,
Yes.
oh man, what did I do last night? I'm in jail already.
Woke up at the wildlife reserve like, oh no, they found me.
They got me. They got me. Oh,
that
in
poor
Florida,
possum.
all crazy stuff happens in Florida.
It's true.
Now it's a very hilarious story, and I laughed, and I thought it was, I thought it was a joke at first, and I realized it was actually a real story, and I laughed. But something I was looking at it, and I thought, talk about possums. Possums play dead. That's kind of the whole thing. You're playing possum, right? Because if you come around, a possum will play dead, so you'll kind of keep going on, right? And so when you think about possums and you kind of think about that, a lot of times, especially with the holidays coming up, we always tend to want to exaggerate our issues and kind of play dead with our issues, I think. So whether you're sitting there around your buddies or whatever, and you just want to, griping about your wife just because that's kind of what the guys do, you think. And, you sit rather than exaggerate it all about how horrible it is, she gripes at me, or you sit around and, oh, I'm so tired, I work so much, and I ain't got no time for this, I don't got no time for that, everybody exaggerates that, really plays, I say play possum, really. They're just playing possum with making themselves feel all that way, and kind of what that does to your psyche. What are your thoughts on the story and what that does?
I think, you can talk yourself into a funk.
Yeah.
You can talk yourself into what the day is going to look like. But I think when you start kind of saying how busy you are, you start to believe it.
Yeah.
And you could be doing a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of non-productive things throughout the day, but in your head, because you've painted the picture that you're so busy,
Yep.
your mind starts to believe it.
Yep.
So
And if you're sitting there griping about not having enough of this, not having enough of that, then you believe yourself.
right, instead of being grateful and having a heart of gratitude,
Yep.
you go the other direction. It's all about mindset.
Zig Ziglar would say in some of his stories that I would always listen to, he would go, look, when people go, positive thing can't fix everything. You're correct, but everything's gonna be a little bit better. And he goes, look, if I had a heart attack and I need heart surgery, I don't want the surgeon coming in that's going that is not a surgeon. Let's just say he's a firefighter, but he's the only one around, and going, you know what? I really believe I can do this heart surgery. No. I would rather somebody just some real skill, not just positively thinking they can do heart surgery on me, right?
Yeah.
But positive thinking is always better than stinking thinking.
Absolutely.
Will always be better than that. And I think we got to be careful about what we tell ourselves. I don't think we understand. And people always go, well, I'm just joking. But when you say it over and over, like I used to wonder and think, being around the people that would be around the guys that would gripe about their wife. And they would always just be like, oh, I'm just joking, just kind of sitting around with the boys. But if you say that over and over, you start believing that.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Where I try to make it a point that no matter what it was, like I always am going to be speaking positive affirmations about my wife and my relationship. Where I mean, no matter if I'm around 5 guys that are all talking bad, I'm going to be the one that's going to be speaking the positive affirmation to try to change that stereotype that it is. Because when you think it, then you start
believe
doing it.
Absolutely. But think about having those conversations with the guys,
Yep.
right? And you walk away. When you turn around and talk to your wife, 9 out of 10 times you're going to have a stinky attitude.
Yep.
Just because of what you walked out of.
Yep.
And I think that happens a lot today in society is people you're supposed to be busy. Work is supposed to be horrible.
Yeah.
And when you're on the other side of it, people think you're crazy.
Yeah.
They
But it's not. But it doesn't have to be, right?
No, absolutely not. Because it bleeds into your life.
Yes.
If you're happy and you're in a positive state of mind, it feeds into your personal life. It feeds into your work life, and so forth.
You can't keep playing dead. You know?
You can't.
You can't keep laying there and playing possum with always saying, "Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I'm working so hard. I don't have time." You know, you do. You got to start saying, "I do have time. I'm going to make time. I do I can put in more and I can put in more effort." I know a lot of the people that are listening to will go, yeah, I'm sure you really do that. I really do, and I know a lot of people think it's corny, but honestly, the positive talking of that, whether you're joking here and there or not, it honestly makes a massive difference. Do you have any aspects where you've had that kind of change with you that you've done before or after that kind of really you saw it when you really took a hold of that?
Absolutely. And I can even tell you now, like getting back in the groove of things since I had Luna, I got out of some of those habits because I was sleeping later because my sleeping patterns were off. But even here lately, getting back up earlier in the morning to listen to my positive podcast, do some reading in the morning, it really has shifted me back into, okay, I'm back on this horse. Let's do this. I'm ready to achieve greatness. But it does have a profound effect on your mindset.
And understand, you there's times you could probably be around me that I'm going to have some negative thing to say.
Sure, you're only human.
I'm human, so
Right.
I want to make that very clear. But I want to understand this. I want everybody to understand this is 70% of the time I'm not making those mistakes. And I can tell you this, 70% of the time if you hit it right, you're going to kill it. You're going to be such a different person. Why not start, what I want to do is I want to challenge the men to start being the men talking positive about their wives, to start doing that. Instead of being the guys that sit around that literally just will gripe and bitch because that's kind of what the guys do. Like, no, why don't we just start? Why don't there be more of us that are changing that culture, that counter mindset that it's cool to have a great wife and a great life and a great relationship with your wife. Like, that's cool.
I just challenge everybody to be more positive this year.
Yeah.
Challenge everyone to be more positive, leave from a grateful heart type of thing, stop complaining, because that gets you nowhere, complaining, but just...
And going into this season, there's a lot of people have anxieties or any of that, coming into it. Just
Absolutely.
be right now on this Friday leading up to Christmas Eve and all that. Just start thinking positive. If you have those family situations that are tough and all that, don't dread them. Start thinking of the great things about it all, and I promise you it'll make a big difference. I can guarantee you it will definitely be better than you being in the stinking thinking, as I call it.
It's funny, my pastor about a month and a half ago was talking about the holidays and being grateful and actually going in with a grateful heart when you're going into these holiday events, because it does freak a lot of people out, and a lot of people spin into this negative thing because we all have this family member we don't necessarily have that great, but just to learn to serve, right? And everybody has their reasons why they act the way that they do, but turning it from the other way of everybody has their reason for why the way, but they're a part of our family. Come with a loving heart during the holidays, because it changes the dynamics and it makes it easier to be around others.
Don't be the possum and end up in the drunk tank this year, okay? So we're going to come up here to the second segment of Second Shot, coming right back after this.
He's a suit and tie kind of guy with deep Southern roots. Heath Oakes hosts more of Second Shot coming up on RNCN.
You guys have been listening to Second Shot and hearing us talk about it. You need to go pick up my book, Ignorance on Fire, A Journey of Failing Your Way to Success. You can get it on Amazon in a paper book. You can also hear this beautiful voice of mine in audiobook style on Audible or anywhere you're going to get your audiobooks. Guys, this book took a lot of time to put into it, and I believe it can really be some life-changing stuff to help you on your path to success. And hopefully you're going to fail your way to success just like I did. Ignorance on Fire, A Journey of Failing Your Way to Success. Amazon.com, Audible.com, audiobooks, paper books, everything. Get it, share it with your people, and I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Go pick it up today.
Ready? Aim. Fire. Second Shot is back for another round on RNCN.
It's always kind of weird because Zach has got me thrown off here because he doesn't have the intro music playing beforehand. He's doing all the editing, and so it's like, do I go?
Do I speak?
Say yes, no?
And I'm torn here because on the one hand, since we don't have it, it's going to sound perfect. Like, right as we finish talking, it's going to be like, come back with more Second Shot right after this. Like, it'll sound real tight, but you're right. It's not quite as
It kind of
organic.
throws me off a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's just an odd silence.
And besides the fact that I can't really hear in my ears still because my ears still haven't popped because when I was sick, I honestly can't hear myself very
I
well.
feel like you just got off an airplane.
I do, yeah. For 2 days in a row. For 2 or 3 days in a row
Oh,
now.
I'm so sorry. I can't stand that.
That is the worst feeling when you get off an airplane.
Yeah, the airplane jet turbulence.
I'm going to tell you this. We're going to look like the Clampetts getting on the airplane going to Idaho. We got taking Charlie, my dog, and we have Brighton Jenny, myself, and I got us first class seats. We're piling up in first class with our dog, our baby, and all that. Like, it is going to be absolutely hilarious.
Well, you're doing it right, man. I've been on so many planes, like, in the back, economy, coach, and there'll be some baby back there wailing. Like, at least first class, you're doing it right. Like, you're laying out all the stops.
If we're going to have the dog, the baby, and all,
You
I'm
have to
getting
be
the room.
comfortable.
I'm getting the room.
Yes, you got to be
Everybody in
comfortable.
first class is going to hate us. We're literally going to look like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Whatever, it's the holidays, you know?
It's the
What are you gonna
holidays.
do?
People
I'm probably going to
anticipate
wear
that.
shorts with my boots just to, exaggerate
You mean you're not
please
going to wear
do.
your matching suits?
Beverly Hillbilly style.
You're not going to wear your matching suits?
Come to
Go socks and flip-flops. Yeah, just lean
yeah.
right into that. Going to Idaho.
Jenny really hates that
Does she? Do you do that too?
all the time.
It's such a
Just around the house. I mean, I don't go out. It's just I just don't.
Do you
want
know
it.
that my 15-year-old son does that?
Yeah, see,
and
your
it
15-year-old son is
drives
cool
me bananas.
because he's cool.
Drives me bananas.
You just wish you were as cool as us.
No,
Yeah.
I will make him, like, if he tries to go across the street, if he tries to leave the house like that. I'm like,
Jonathan,
take
if you're
his-
listening, Jonathan, keep doing it, buddy. You're
I
cool.
tell him to take his socks off. You're not going anywhere like
We
that.
need to get officially licensed
You're on the
socks
cool
and flip-flops
track.
for second shot.
Yeah.
All right, so this other story, this is something interesting. Google reveals their most popular searches of 2017. I'm always fascinated by Google's
too.
search terms of the year. This one is a video article, so I'm just going to let it play, and we'll talk about it after, I guess.
Google is like Santa Claus. It sees every move you make, and thanks to that tracking, we now know the top search terms in the United States for 2017. Hurricane Irma comes in first place. The storm wreaked havoc throughout the Caribbean and Florida, sending people to Google to find out more. The second most searched term is also the most searched person. In the year of the sexual predator and misconduct, Matt Lauer holds this distinction. And rounding out the top three is Tom Petty after he passed away. While most of the top Googled terms are tragic events or sex offenders, there were a few positive items that made the list. Meghan Markle was the second most Googled person of the year. As the soon-to-be American princess, it was the good news people needed. Who can forget the once-in-a-lifetime solar eclipse that went across the USA? I can't help but wonder how Donald Trump feels about being left off the list completely, while his wife Melania was number 7 on the list of most searched for people.
Two things. One, love the music.
Yeah.
Two, I totally forgot about the solar eclipse. Who can forget? I did. I totally forgot that happened.
I actually did too. I thought it was
Yeah.
an extreme letdown. Honestly, I went out and looked at it. and
Wasn't
I,
highly impressed.
I wasn't that
like
impressed. to be
3
honest.
out of 10 wouldn't watch again. Like, who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me with that was that how many people were Googling horrible, like bad news. Bad news.
But there'll be all the same people that go, well, I don't watch news because it's not positive. No, you do. You look it up because the majority of the world wants the negative stuff,
Absolutely, they do.
unfortunately.
Yeah, we have a morbid curiosity with negativity, I think. Why is that?
I don't know. I why is everybody drawn to the consistent negativity and feeding mind? Like, Marisol, do you have times, or have you got? Can you show any explanations of when maybe in your life over a time were there times that you were on one side of the fence and you moved to the other, and kind of how those did, or were there any times that maybe that can relate to maybe some of the people that they've been in? Like, have you?
Like a negative mindset?
I don't know. Have you always been the person that was
No.
reading positive, doing all those things? No. So
and
what
I grew up
happened?
in a household. This is a funny thing. So I grew up in a household with my grandparents.
Yeah.
And my grandparents still to this day, they're older and elderly. They don't get out of the house much. They're 88
Mm-hmm.
and 89. But I have a hard time talking to them these days. I love them, but all they do is watch TV.
Yeah.
So they live in this bubble that's extremely negative.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember through the years growing up now as I look back and
Yeah.
reflect in regards to how negative that was. And the negative thinking and, oh, don't leave the house and don't make that career move. I mean, I can think back of how that, to now where it's just like, I have to contain that because I know how I've fed my brain and the direction.
So why
I'm
did
going.
that change for you? How did that happen to where maybe others that are kind of sitting in those similar situations can maybe start making the switch instead of looking for the negative news to go into the positive aspect?
I think it was who I surrounded myself with,
Yeah.
quite honestly. It was, hey, read this, or hey, read this, you may like it. And
Yeah.
the more I kind of ingrained myself in it, the more I did. So the less less I wanted to hear any of the negative stuff, to the point now I'll read headlines, but I kind of contain that. I don't watch the news a lot just because of that mere fact. I don't like all the negativity.
See, and I'm one of those that I can listen to all of that. I can see all that, but like my forefront and foundation is feeding my mind of the things I've learned to learn. And here, the biggest thing is learning and growing in general.
Absolutely.
I believe that learning and growing in all facets of your life spin off of positivity. I can promise you that if you're sitting there in spots where when you're down, you're not growing in any areas. Like when I wanted to become a pilot and I was trained to be a pilot, I had nothing to do with my job, right?
Right.
But I was fueled with ideas and things out in my job because I was so ingrained in learning that too, because there were so many things. It was just thinking, oh my God, the wind and the taking off and kind of the autonomy, the things that just ran across. It fueled me in all aspects of my life. So I honestly believe that growing in all kinds of ways fuels your whole life.
Absolutely. I think when you volunteer, I think when you read a book, when you listen to a podcast, yes, it's to gain more than anything. It's to spark new inspiration in your life.
Yep.
That kind of gets your mind going in different directions just due to listening to whatever that person's going through. Or
oh yeah, no, that's a kicker. It really is. I mean, you can sit there and find a negative in everything. And you can sit there and say that all the stuff that people talk about and we do here, that it's all corny. Or you can do it and try it and see if it makes a difference. You know? Sit around bash it all day or try it. Try something different.
Sure.
And when I look at it, we sit here and we search all these things and you don't really realize it's all of those little bitty things that you feed yourself with that it turns into that snowball of that's who you become.
And it can be easy, I feel like, to get carried away with this stuff, to think to yourself, well, you know, you can look up somebody like Matt Lauer and go, wow, that's rough for him. At least I don't have that in my life. My life is so much better. And that might help you sleep at night thinking, okay, well, I'm good and other people are bad. I'm okay. But really all it does is put you on a scale with people you shouldn't want to be on a scale with. You shouldn't want to compare yourself to people like that. You shouldn't hold yourself up to some kind of imaginary standard for your own, I don't know, self-vindication, like for no reason other than to make yourself feel good.
It goes back to if you just live your truth, you don't have to worry about it.
No, not at all.
You know, like you know, how horrible was it about the videos with Matt Lauer coming out of him, you know, him interviewing Bill O'Reilly about sexual harassment and like grilling him about it, and it's like,
and you turn around and he's doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's like, just live your truth. Live your truth and don't worry about others' truths. You know, you can only worry about yourself, right? Like, and I think I love that, just living the truth, like who you are and staying facet to it. And you know, we go back whenever I was asking you about that, I do agree, like who you have around you makes the most massive difference in the world.
Absolutely it does.
Like, and sometimes you'll go and understand this is just an excuse. So if you say, well, that's my job, all those people suck, okay? And, you know, Ziegler said in one of these stories he talked about this lady come up talking about she hated her job, and he said, well, what's some good things about it? Well, I just told you I hated everything about it sucked. All the people suck, everything sucks. He goes, well, are you getting paid? Yeah, I'm getting paid. I'm actually getting paid pretty well. You have benefits? Yeah, I got benefits. So those are two good things. Okay, well, I didn't think about that. And he said, so what I want you to do is write down 20 things that are good about it. And, you know, you got paid. You know, you got sick days. You got a holiday. You got a place to sit. They give you free pens, right? You get to get a lunch break. Like, look for the small things to be grateful for with it. And say them to yourself every morning before you get up. He said 6 months later at an event she was there, and she called, you'll never believe how all those people changed down there. You know, when it was purely just her mindset changed. It wasn't that everybody else changed. It was just that she wasn't looking for the negative in them all the time. One of the biggest things that we do in our lives is we need to be more careful about who we let sit at the table with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference. I mean, I'll tell you in the last few years, who sits at my table is so different. Mm-hmm. But what I've accomplished personally and professionally has made a big impact, and it bleeds on into other facets of your life when you are mindful of who sits at the table with you.
It is. Robert Halbert was the one who always said that, who you let sitting at your table and hold your fork, you know. And it is so funny that we let people at times, we will let people in our ear and give us advice that are people we don't want to be like. Like, think about that. If you'll think about it, you'll go, so-and-so is always negative and stopping me. Well, do you want to be like that person? No, I don't want to be. Then why are you letting them give you input? That's crazy. You're letting them give you ideas and thoughts, and you want nothing to be close to them. If whatever they tell you, you should almost do the exact opposite. But yet we still let these people sit at our table. I'm not saying you disown your family, you disown all that, but you know what you do? You do distance yourself. You put your boundaries up. You got to know your boundaries where it is. And then what you've got to do is got to go to places you've never been and never go in order to meet other people to get your circle, change your circle.
Change your circle, change those who, if somebody has the lifestyle you want, go talk to that person. Meet them for coffee. A lot of people are really open to share their story, share their expertise, because people just love talking about themselves, right?
People
love talking about themselves.
Well, and here's the thing is, doing what you do every single day right now the same exact way, you are not going to find those other people. You have to do stuff differently. Absolutely. You can't sit there every day and be like, oh, I just need to run into that person. If you're not doing something different, then you're not going to start meeting different people. If you're not investing the time to say, like, for instance, Zach, like just use an example, say 2 or 3 events a week. Are you going out to 2 or 3 events nights a week for a young professional event or any type of maybe a radio association event or something, meeting other people, right? Like go to those. Just don't go home and to watch the Netflix show. And I'm not saying this is actually because we've never talked about this.
No, just an
I'm
example.
just saying an example is make those changes.
Yeah.
Find stuff that if you are in business and want to be better in business, there are all kinds of networking events. Go to them. When I was 19, 20 years old, I was at one every single night. And I was always out meeting people. And everybody would say, oh, I'm lucky because I met so-and-so. 5 nights a week, I was out doing that. I wasn't watching TV shows at home.
Right, and clearly it didn't work out for you.
Exactly.
Not at all.
So I just want to you got to change who's sitting at your table, and you got to change what's coming in your thoughts, in your mind, in your feelings with it all in order to put your boundaries up and move forward and get through it. We're at the end of this year, and we got to be able to forge through next year and make those changes that you've been saying you're going to make every dadgum year. It's time to do it.
Well, yeah, I think it's a challenge to everyone to just evaluate who's sitting at your table.
Yep.
Who's sitting at your table, who is going in the same direction you are in this next year.
And who's not.
Maybe you need to change some seats up, let some people go, and add some people to the table.
What better time to reflect than the end of the year?
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to be back here in a minute for the third segment of Second Shot.
Now that's what I call ignorance on fire. More of Second Shot with Heath Oakes still to come.
Hear ye, hear ye. Great news for all of you guys. Colonial Life is hiring some salespeople from all over the country. No matter where you are in the United States of America, if you're looking for a sales career, if you want to just learn more about what Colonial Life does, send an email to mbeltran@coloniallife.com, mbeltran@coloniallife.com. We'll get you set up with the right people you need to talk to and see if you're going to win that job. If you're in the Metroplex area, great. If you're in St. Louis, great. We're going to have office there for you. mbeltran@coloniallife.com and change your career today.
Kick off your boots or suit up. The choice is yours. Welcome back to Second Shot on RNCN.
You got the redneck trying to speak some Spanish, and it gets into all kinds of like pobrecita goes to cobracita because I can't speak right as it is.
To be fair, believe it or not, after working this long with headphones, a little hard of hearing, so maybe I just misheard, but...
You didn't mishear him.
Pobrecita. No, that's what he said.
That is what he said.
Nobody can ever understand me. The third segment here, we typically take listener emails, but we want to kind of get into a little bit with Marisol the second time we have her on our show, getting into kind of some of that and just... in general, some stuff we were kind of talking about earlier, and seeing what Zach and Matt maybe had some questions that they want to hit with.
Marisol, I wanted to corroborate with you for a minute because it's not often I get to talk to somebody who works with Heath. Last person I really got to talk to is Robert Halbert. We mentioned him last episode, which, by the way, I did a little research. Episodes 18 or 36 of this show. He was on it. They're great. Check them out. Yeah, good episodes. Robert's fantastic. So I want to ask you a couple questions about the man, the myth, the legend, Heath Oakes, because I do believe he's everything he claims he is.
This makes me nervous.
I'm just curious if he actually is everything he claims he is. So first things first, Heath's got some non-traditional kind of traditions in his family, I think. He's got kind of a unique way of approaching life, and one of the things you had mentioned in our last episode was seeing somebody from your own experience come into Heath's company and become something bigger than themselves, go from nothing to something. Something Heath claims he can do with almost anybody if they have the right attitude, of course.
Absolutely.
Heath has said before that he would take. I mean, one time we did
the guy that was walking.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I think about him all the time. We did a show, an article about a guy who I don't remember the episode.
Does he work at McDonald's or
worked at Brahms
and he walked to work.
10 miles.
And Heath on the air was like, I don't know if you're hearing this, but if somebody who knows him can send this episode, like I will offer him a job right now, like to come in and interview with me. Let's do it. Is that something you would think Heath would do? Does that sound out of the realm of possibility?
No, absolutely not. So I will tell you that in our business, it's 100% commission role, sales role. We look for people with grit. We look for people with impeccable work ethic. So somebody who's willing to walk 10 miles to get to work tells me that they're not going to let anything get in their way to be successful. So it's all about mindset.
And would you say not only would I hire them, but I would probably hunt for those type of people?
Absolutely, all day, every day. That is something that we look for. We want that person who, number one, probably hasn't been given an opportunity. They probably haven't thought or dreamed of anything outside of that box of Brahms. Mm-hmm. But we want to be able to give them an opportunity to make more money than they've ever made in their life with that same work ethic.
And I don't care what they look like, dress like, or anything.
Yeah.
Marisol, I'll tell you, I don't care if they are in holy whatever. That does not deter me at all.
Get you a haircut and a suit. We'll be on our way. Yeah.
You know what? We've had to retrain some of our managers in our offices to think past. I used to have some managers who would turn people away. Oh, they're not properly dressed. You haven't even spoken to them.
Right.
They made it here today, so let's give them an opportunity.
That's a big one. And I actually do have a question more towards that, but I want to get into some other things first.
Sure.
Where does Heath Oakes land? I don't know if I'm sure he has to express this to you. What is Heath Oakes' opinion on meetings?
They have to be worth the time, but they're a waste of time if you have a whole bunch of them.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, that sounds about right.
We have the least amount of meetings of any territory.
It's about where I'm at.
We
too,
have
honestly.
the least amount of meetings across the nation probably than any other territory.
See, I feel like a lot of people think that's a bad thing. A lot of people would immediately assume, oh, well, something must be wrong.
Well, we kick everybody's butt, so.
Right.
We've been staying. We stay at the top of the chart, so I disagree. We have them when they're absolutely necessary, like business planning meetings for the next year. How are we going to re-strategize? Mm-hmm. Those are things that are important. But
we communicate.
We communicate very often. If I'm out and I see something that's not working properly, if he's out and he sees a place where I need to help pick up the ball, our counterparts, Jerry and Robert, same thing. We all communicate, just not a bunch of non-necessary meetings.
Anybody who may not have seen the video version of this show, which is available on YouTube, check it out. People who maybe only listen to podcasts traditionally may not have. They've heard us talk about Heath's incredible outfits and dress wear. May not have seen it for themselves. You should check it out. Is anybody at this company better dressed than Heath Oakes?
That's a hard one.
Is it? I wouldn't think it is. The man dresses to the nines.
He's always to the nines.
Impressed. Yeah.
Everybody talks about Heath and the way he dresses, and he does that for a number of reasons. If you really listen and sit and talk to him about the whys behind it, but it's definitely people talk about his dress all the time, and I think the driving factors behind the why he does it makes sense. When he walks in a room, when we recruit, people look at him and they want to know why. What does he do? They want to get to the place where he's at.
Right, and this is one of the fascinating things about you, Heath, is that when I think of somebody in another room talking about me in any capacity, I get paranoid. I get a little spooked. I'm like, wait, what do they think about me? Like they're expressing themselves to somebody else. They're sharing opinions. It's a little weird. You said last episode, I think maybe earlier this episode, you were like, just put it all out on the table.
I don't
Just
care.
be you. I don't care. Yeah, and once it's all out there, what are you going to do to me? So yeah, how do you feel about that?
I do. I put everything out there. You can't. There's nothing that Marisol would bring up and say that I don't already know, or I wouldn't be. I mean, I throw everything. Everything I have is 100%. I mean, the title of my book is "Failing My Way to Success." You know what I mean? Like,
it's true.
Like I'm just saying. Look, I did fail a lot. Like I'll own that. I'm okay with that, and I think that, living in your truth is a lot freeing because I'm not worried about you asking these questions, Marisol. Because I know I strive to be the things I speak on. Do I fail on a regular basis and not and not stand up and being the leader I need to be at times. Yes, I do. But I do believe that everybody that works for me knows the majority of the time I'm doing what I say I'm going to do. I fail just like everybody else, but I don't worry about what people would say or not say. And I don't, nothing, your opinion of me either way is not going to affect my life. I'm not going to let you affect me.
I was going to say, one of the things, I think key things in working with him that really stands out in terms of kind of perfecting what we call our story in our world and why we got to where we are and so forth, was Heath goes, you always have to tell the bad parts of your story too, because that makes you more authentic than anyone in terms of people have to know that you failed in life, and it gains a certain piece of trust. And I totally agree about that, because people only see what they see standing in front of them. And they have to understand where you came from. And that's one of the most powerful stories or pieces of recruiting, at least for my role, is being able to be genuine in who I am. Same thing with him. It's so genuine, and people go, oh, so you always haven't been that guy wearing the Rolex and the fancy suits and so forth. You came from
the trailer house.
You came from a trailer. So it becomes very authentic.
One of the things I like most about doing this show with you, Heath, is your you have this brilliant you have this brilliant combination of traditional business mindset and like radically liberal ideas. And when you work at a company called Colonial Life, you assume it's all going to be traditional.
Yeah.
And you have those fundamentals. There's steel in those walls, but it's different. You have less meetings. You guys have better interaction. You're not judging people based on how they look, but by their character. You're able to look past that and look a little deeper. And I think that's something that maybe wasn't as present back then, but it works now. So when you look at a company like Colonial Life and people immediately assume, which is something you guys strive not to do every day, that this is traditional, this is by the book, and then you find out, wow, this isn't what I thought. How does Heath Oakes play into that?
He's always pushing the button, right? He's always pushing it outside of the box.
Like, right, pushing the button.
We're always trying to create this environment of this is a lifestyle you can have.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of work, but
course.
it isn't this. It's not the traditional place. We have a lot of fun. We all work hard, but we try to always create that energy, that fun energy around us to push outside of the boxes. But there's a high accountability behind that. There are high expectations at all times, but we all push each other to the limit. Always. And he drives. I mean, he's our leader. He's at the top of the house. He drives that down all the way down to our managers.
But the kicker too is knowing what your foundation of morals and ethics and stuff are, and putting people like Marisol around you, and then letting her do her deal, and not I always say, if I'm hiring anybody, if you need to be micromanaged, you won't work for me. You will hate me. You will hate me as a boss if you need to be micromanaged.
Right.
Because does anybody ever? I could care less what time you come in, where you go. What do I ever ask you any of that?
Never, ever, ever.
Never.
Right.
I don't care.
As long as I do my job.
Your results speak for themselves.
She's going for her first 3 years will be number one in the country. Yeah. Why would I mess with that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is, I said, it's a liberal attitude. Yeah. Like it is. Yeah.
Do what you want.
Yeah. And it works. It shows.
But it's the result. If she didn't have the results, it wouldn't be that way.
Of course.
That's the difference. That's where that's got to come into. I believe, and then I put people like Marisol around me that have the same foundational core character beliefs. We have the same foundational beliefs of right and wrong, what our morals are, what boundaries be pushed, and all that, right? And when you do that, I think you have the ability to be open-minded to all of the things outside of it, and you're not going to be scared of what that could get you to, because you're never going to leave the foundation that you're grounded in.
Last question, because we're almost out of time. Heath, like you said, you'll be in Idaho when this goes out, rolling down a ski slope on a snowboard.
And my wife is going gracefully next
What
to
do
me.
you figure the odds are Heath Oakes comes back with like a broken leg or
You know,
broken
that's
arm?
funny that you say that.
Over under.
Very high.
I anticipate him coming back with broken something over
A fracture,
I mean,
sprain.
I had hip surgery at 27.
Right.
So who's to say I'm a snowboarding in a hip that I had
I'm
surgery
waiting
on.
for the social media of Jenny at the top of the mountain and you rolling down, hitting a tree.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah. It'll be such a treat. If there's one thing Heath Oakes,
I think the odds
do it
are
110% every time. You will go down that mountain. Yeah,
and
it'll be great.
The odds are very high that I come back injured of some sort.
That's okay. You have an accident policy. You'll
Yes,
be all right.
I do have an accident policy with Colonial Life,
Oh, wow.
and I'll get paid for that accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they're just stupid for giving me that policy. It's like they did not
should've
take account
known.
for me in the risk
Yeah.
department, right?
Not at
Marisol,
all.
thank you for taking the time to come on and join us today, and
Thank you for having me.
not throwing too much dirt out on me.
No.
But tell them where can they find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at Everyday is Great. Marisol Beltran, Talent Finder on LinkedIn. And then my first name, last name on Facebook. I think that's all streams of social media for me right now.
Okay. At Ignorance on Fire or at Heath Oakes or heathoakes.com, anywhere like that. When you look it up and you can find me somewhere and reach out to me. And secondshotcast@gmail.com. Shoot us an email. Anything you got, thoughts, questions, or anything like that. The end of the year coming up, we got some really exciting stuff coming up in January, along with some really fun stuff coming up for February for our 1-year anniversary. Some pretty big name guests that I'm really looking forward to. So thank you guys for sharing. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and are really going into it with that positive atmosphere. This year be a great year. That everybody that you're with, go even the ones that you don't like go make it a point to be a star and a shine in their life. Like go into this Christmas season and make the people who you don't like, who you have anxiety with, go make an extra point to make it special for them. See what happens. Crazy things may happen. Love y'all. Have a Merry Christmas. And we'll see you next week on Second Shot.
You're listening to RNCN, the digital destination for premium talk radio.